Today on Upfront, Wisconsin Governor-elect Tony Evers. He sits down with me for our first extended interview since the November election. Next, Evers on his first orders of business, expanding health care in the state and dealing with a Republican-controlled legislature seemingly determined to limit his powers.
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Upfront with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Upfront. State lawmakers will be back in a lame duck session this week, and what happens in that session could set the tone for how Republicans, who control both the Assembly and Senate, will deal with Wisconsin's next governor, Democrat Tony Evers. The governor-elect takes office January 7th, and he joins us today for an extended interview. Welcome back to Upfront.
Thanks, Mike. Good to be here.
So how much does this lame duck session, how much of a factor will it be in the working relationship that you have with the Republican-controlled legislature?
Yeah, and you talked about tone and your lead in there, and I think that's an important thing. The tone that this lame duck session portrays, I don't think is particularly helpful. But you know, I've been elected to make sure that I work with Republicans and find common ground. We'll still going to do that. There's no question. But you know, lame duck session with things rushed through, I think that gives people the wrong impression of how government should work.
In what sense do you think it gives them the wrong impression?
Well, first of all, we don't know. You know, we're right up to it, and we don't know exactly what's going to be proposed, and how much public input will be. You know, public hearings. What will they look like? Are they actually going to be actively taking authority away from the governor? All these things are unknown. All these things are last minute. All these things will be rushed. I just think tone-wise and optics is not necessarily a good start. But again, I'm committed to working with the legislature to make sure that we accomplish things for the people of Wisconsin. That's what they elected me to do, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Speaker Voss said on this program a couple of weeks ago, he said, Tony Evers does not have a mandate. And so what we're trying to do is codify certain things that we've accomplished in the last 8 years. How do you view your victory? Do you see it as a mandate in any sense?
Of course I do. I spent the I spent the entire race talking about things that people in Wisconsin feel important about, whether it's our schools, whether it's our roads, whether it's health care. All those issues are issues that's why people voted for me. So of course I'm going to follow through on that. It's not that I'm going to fade into the background. And that's what concerns me about this initial piece. The fact that we were never consulted about it, that's an issue. And you know, it's going to be short term, it's going to be rushed through, it's going to be minimal public hearings. And that just doesn't work for the people of Wisconsin. They actually want us to accomplish things.
Have you had any conversations with the Assembly leadership, Speaker Voss, or the Senate leadership, Senate Majority Leader?
I met with Speaker Voss, and I have a meeting upcoming with the Majority Leader, and so I'm looking forward to. Did you tell him what you just said here? Oh, absolutely. I told it to Speaker Voss, and you know he understands my position, but they're going forward. I just think it's a wrong way to start out a relationship. And yes, I do believe the people of Wisconsin changed from an incumbent governor to someone new, and that does tell me that the people of Wisconsin expect us to follow through on what we talked about. We're going to do that.
There are some things that we do know about as we sit and tape this conversation. One of them seems to be a desire on the part of Republicans to protect the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. You said on this program a number of months ago you were going to get rid of it.
Right.
Are you still planning to get rid of it? Is there anything that could change your mind on that?
Well, no. It's my goal to get rid of it, and the reason I came to that conclusion is real simple. It's the issue around accountability. When you have something that's supposedly a public-private partnership that's not necessarily connected at the hip with state government, how do you keep that accountability? How do you keep that organization accountable? I think that's, but the bottom line is, I'm not sure we're going to ask for a change in the budget. That might be just too complex. It might be a separate piece of legislation. But what I want to do is send a message to the people of Wisconsin, because that's what they asked me to do, is to make sure that whether it's a WEDC or a Department of Commerce, whatever it is, the issue is we have to change the focus of economic development in the state. It has to be a 72-county thing. We have to empower entrepreneurs in the state. That's how, in the end analysis, we're going to grow our state.
Are the days of the big subsidies, the likes of which we saw with Foxconn, or the likes of which some would like to see with Kimberly-Clark, are those days gone under your administration, do you anticipate?
Well, it's going to be difficult to do. I mean, the amount of money that's available for large things is critically important because it takes away money from someplace else. So I believe if we focus on the entrepreneurs, the people that are just starting up businesses or maybe 3 or 4 years and want to expand, that's how the state's going to grow eventually. I don't think there's going to be a lot of money around for those things. But, you know, I'm also a realist. States across the country compete for for it. And I'm not saying that those competitions won't happen again. But we have to figure out at some point in time whether we can afford the Foxconn type subsidies that we gave. My guess is that's not the case.
Speaking of Foxconn, there are some in your party who feel that the Foxconn deal has changed since it was originally announced, that it is no longer the same product being discussed. It is the makeup of the jobs, the composition of the jobs is different than was originally discussed.
Right.
Do you feel that there's any reason to think that Foxconn has breached the terms of the contract that it reached with the state?
I don't, not at this time I don't. You know, they're a business and they have the right to make business decisions, but there's always been asterisks around it, whether it's the type of product they're making or the type of people they're going to be hiring, and now they're talking about cutting back on production, but those are all business decisions. The fact of the matter is it's still part of state law, and I don't think there's been anything breached, but what we will do, and I've already had initial conversations, is just making sure that they're going to meet their agreements, and hopefully we can get some clarity as to environmental concerns and things like that. We have to make them the best corporate citizen possible in the state, but that will take some significant oversight, and so we've had some initial discussions around that.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about Governor-elect Tony Evers' priorities as he takes office in January.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association.